Hello everyone and very good morning. Welcome back to Crack Grade B. So we have started the schemes of Ministry of MSMEs, right? Quite a few of schemes we have already covered and now we are going to cover few more, right? So let's see and day before yesterday when we finished our lecture, we were talking about National Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe Hub scheme. So under that, most of the things we have already discussed. Lastly, we were discussing that the kind of support is what is provided to these SC/STs, right? Entrepreneurs for in their development. So for that, we have already discussed two type of supports. Remaining two, I'll be discussing today. But first, let's sum up those two as well. See, so in this particular SC/ST hub scheme, the government is going to provide four kind of, or you can say the support which is spread over four dimensions. Number one is related to capital subsidy. Number two is capacity building. Number three is various reimbursements. Number four is marketing related assistance, right? So out of them, two we have already covered day before yesterday, but let's just see them. Special credit linked capital subsidy. Here I have already told you that government is going to provide you subsidy if you are purchasing plant and machinery, right? What is the subsidy amount? So if maximum limit is 1 crore. 1 crore is your investment in the plant and machinery. Out of that, what is the amount that the subsidy government will provide? That is 25%. That means maximum 25 lakhs. So whenever you are reading any kind of scheme, please do not forget the words minimum and maximum, because they tend to lead so much confusion whenever we are trying to remember the schemes or whenever we are trying to remember the answers to the questions. So always focus, obviously our brain works like this, that we always focus on the numbers. We tend to remember the numbers, but we always forget that how was it? It was related to minimum or maximum of, or what was it, right? So one thing, capital related subsidy, clear. Next was here training related component. Capacity building means what? Capacity building means providing training, right? So in that we have already known and we have already discussed that who can be the eligible training institutions and who are eligible among SC/ST entrepreneurs in order to undertake this particular training. Now these two have been covered. Now we are going to talk about the third. See, support for enhancing competitiveness through various interventions and sub-schemes. So what we are going to do over here is, or what government is trying to do over here is, see, whenever any kind of support is provided, there are some ancillary expenses attached to that particular process. Like you will see bank processing fees, performance guarantee related fees. So these are all the additional charges which are attached with the process. Now government wants to enable SC/ST entrepreneurs to do their business, and government wants to make this process as seamless as possible. So you will see that many other kind of expenses that needs to be expended by SC/ST entrepreneurs, government is saying please do not worry, we are going to give you reimbursements for those expenses. That means once you have incurred those expenses, we are going to give you that money back to you. Obviously, there is some limit. By adhering to that particular limit, government is going to refund you your particular amount. See, so number one is bank loan processing fees. We all know that such kinds of fees and all are charged by the member lending institutions. There is no rocket science of explaining that what is a bank loan processing fees that is being charged by the bank. Now here, government is going to give you the assistance. The assistance in this scheme will be limited to 80% of your fees or 1 lakh rupees, excluding GST and all other taxes, whatever is less. on the processing fees which is paid to or charged by the bank only after availing such business loans in a financial year. Very clear. Next is what kind of loans will be considered under this particular scheme. So if your SC/ST entrepreneurs, they have availed loan from any scheduled commercial bank, NBFCs and state financial corporation, only those loans will be considered for the reimbursement of the processing fees. Next is reimbursement of bank charges for performance bank guarantee. Can you tell me, or do you know what is performance bank guarantee? Performance bank guarantee. Any idea about it? So let me tell you very quickly what is performance bank guarantee. Pay attention to here that one party is seller, right? Who's going to sell the product. Another party is customer. Now what happens is, let me tell you that most of the times the customer has a trust on the seller that okay, I have purchased this item, seller is going to deliver me a good product or whatever the product I have told him to deliver, right? This works on the trust basis. But what can happen is sometimes what happens is your product is unique and the amount involved is also large. So in that scenario, seller gives a guarantee to the customer. Now what kind of guarantee is this? This guarantee is given through a bank. That means seller pays the process guarantee fee to the bank, and bank in turn provides the guarantee to the customer that please stay assured, if you do not receive your product, then we are going to compensate you. Now for this particular thing, obviously banks are going to charge the fees from the seller. Just making it more clear. So here is the seller, one party, customer who is worried about delivery of his product. Seller says, please do not take tension, I am going to provide you a guarantee. So this guarantee is being provided by whom? This guarantee is being provided by the bank. Bank says to the customer, please do not take tension. If this particular person, that means seller, if he will not provide you the goods to you, we are going to compensate you. Now for providing this particular bank guarantee, obviously the seller has to give some fees to the bank. Banks are also doing businesses, right? So why will bank provide a guarantee in free? He will charge a fees from the seller. So in this particular example, seller is who? Seller is SC/ST MSEs, right? And who is the customer? So your government departments are the customer. I hope that now you have understood this particular concept, right? So see, reimbursement of, if such kinds of guarantee has been provided by the SC/ST MSEs, then whatever bank charges they have paid for the issuance of performance bank guarantee in favor of buyer departments, the state departments and state public sector enterprises, these all can be the buyer. Assistance will be limited to 80% of the fee that you have paid or 1 lakh rupees excluding GST, whichever is less. Now next is, see, if you have taken the membership of the Export Promotion Council, there are several Export Promotion Councils, and being an SC/ST entrepreneur, you have taken a membership in an Export Promotion Council, that government says, please do not worry, if you have paid any subscription membership or entry fee, we are going to reimburse you that 80% of the fees paid or the 20,000 rupees, whichever is less, will be reimbursed by the government. Next, what kind of reimbursement government is doing? Next is reimbursement of course fee to top 50 NIRF rated management institution. NIRF is what? Yes, you can consider same kind of thing for that. What happens in international transaction is obviously you have got some risk regarding the payment and all that thing. That's why you involve the bank. The crux of the concept is same. You've got a risk and you have assured that particular risk through a bank guarantee. So it remains the same. Now next thing what I'm going to ask you is, what is NIRF? NIRF is National Institutional Ranking Framework. So management institutions, right, who are in the top 50 of the list of NIRF, if you are going to take any short-term training, SC/ST entrepreneurs are taking any short-term training from where? From those management institutions which are in the top 50 ranking of NIRF. NIRF brings out the ranking. NIRF is what? National Institutional Ranking Framework. So if you have taken any short-term related training course from there, then we are going to reimburse you and it will be limited to 90% of the course fee or rupees 1 lakh, whichever is lower. Always remember, all the taxes have been excluded from this. Next is reimbursement of membership in the government promoted e-commerce portal. So government promoted e-commerce portal means GEM, GEM, eKhadi, TriFed, Tribes India, MSME Mart, etc. If you have taken annual membership or subscription fee of these particular portals, government is saying please do not worry, we are going to reimburse that to you and it will be 80% or the maximum of 25,000 excluding applicable taxes, whichever is less. I hope that you understand the full form of GEM, what it is. You are going to tell me, and GEM, right? Next is reimbursement of single point registration scheme. The component has also provision of 100% subsidy to obtain NSIC's registration. So small industries corporations register under single point registration. Next is some marketing related assistance is also being provided. Here what they are saying is SC/ST entrepreneurs will be allowed reimbursement under this special marketing assistance scheme for maximum of 2 international events and 4 domestic events in a financial year if you are taking part in it. 1.5 lakh for a participating enterprise per event, but there is also a categorization. Micro enterprises will be receiving 3 lakh marketing related support. Small enterprises will be receiving 2.5 lakhs and medium will be receiving 1.5 lakhs. Why? Because as soon as your stature is growing up, that means micro you need more assistance, medium you need less assistance. So on the basis of that, yes, so GEM's full form is Government E-Marketplace. We have completed National SC/ST Hub. Now talking about raising and accelerating MSME performance ramp. So this particular scheme was recently launched by our finance minister in the last budget, right? This particular scheme, there is nothing special which is happening under this particular scheme. World Bank is a part of this scheme. Hence, what we actually have to do in this scheme is just to uplift the MSMEs. On whatever front they are lagging behind, just giving a hand-holding support to them. Whatever things that we are not doing correctly, like if you have purchased few what you can say products from the MSMEs, then please make a timely payment. This is crucial. Most of the times government departments are not making timely payments, so this leads to stuck in of working capital for the MSMEs. So these are all the problems, and problems are existing. There are numerous schemes, but this particular scheme, what is special is World Bank is a part of the scheme, and World Bank is providing funding for this particular scheme, but depending on certain conditions that you have to bring actual changes in the MSMEs related performance. World Bank has also said that you have to combine central level efforts as well as state level efforts together to achieve the upliftment of the MSMEs. See over here. So it was formulated and proposed by Government of India for strengthening MSMEs in the line with recommendations which has been made by UK Sinha, KV Kamath Committee and Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister. My question to you is Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister a statutory body? This is my question to you. Is this Economic Advisory Council a statutory body? Please tell me. And others will also try to answer the questions. And even if, okay, even if you do not want to answer it, please try to search them for yourself, right? So tell me about this. When I'll be done with this particular scheme, I'm going to tell the answer. So Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister, they have also suggested that we should be bringing such kind of scheme. The Department of Economic Affairs in the 97th Screening Committee meeting approved the preliminary project of it. When this particular scheme was announced, by our respected Finance Minister in the Union Budget of 2022 and 23. That means the last budget which went. It was launched by Union Cabinet, Prime Minister approved it in the March 2022. Now, quickly moving to the objectives. What are the objectives of this particular scheme? You will be seeing that the objectives of this particular scheme are no different, but what is the thing over here is, here you will be getting funding on the basis of the performance you are achieving. World Bank is a partner and World Bank will be giving you the funds only on the basis of the progress you have received. So this is a unique component of this particular scheme. Next is C. Objective: accelerating center-state collaboration. So I will be circling the points which are important. Center-state collaboration in the MSME promotion and development. Enhancing effectiveness of existing MSME schemes for technology upgradation. Strengthening receivable financing market for MSMEs. Enhancing effectiveness of credit guarantee trust for micro and small enterprises. And promoting guarantee for greening initiatives of MSEs, women-owned MSEs. Reducing incidences of delayed payments to the MSEs. Now, what is the duration of this particular scheme? So, duration is going to be till the year 2025 and 26, 2021 and 22. Now, this particular scheme, because it has been launched very recently and hence it becomes very important. See, from the exam perspective, every scheme is important, but because this has been recently launched with relation to MSME, so this becomes a little more important. And yes, the Advisory Council to the Prime Minister is not a statutory body. That is not a statutory body. That is an independent body. See over here. So what are the states or districts covered? So RAMP scheme envisages to benefit more than 5.5 lakh MSMEs during this particular program. The program implementation will be through state agencies, very important. Who is going to implement the program? State agencies. All state and UTs will be invited to prepare the strategic investment plans, and the proposed placed under the strategic investment plans will be funded based on their appraisals. Next is expenditure. So the total outlay for this particular scheme is going to be 6,000 crores approximately, out of which 3,750 crores will be a loan from the government bank and remaining funding will be funded by the Government of India. Now the scheme includes preparation of strategic plans in which all states and UTs will be invited. The APEX National MSME Council would conduct overall monitoring and policy review. It would be headed by Minister for MSMEs, including representation from various ministries and supported by a secretariat. the disbursement of the funds. Now this is very important. World Bank is going to provide you the loan, or World Bank is going to provide you the funding if you are achieving following performance parameters. Please see these parameters very carefully. So first parameter is implementing the national MSME reform agenda. That means you should be having certain parameters on which you want to reform. So first have the idea and then perform on that idea in order to get the reforms. Next is accelerating MSME sector center state collaboration, enhance the effectiveness of technology related schemes, strengthen receivable financing market, enhancing the effectiveness of the credit guarantee trust for micro and small enterprises, and reducing the instances of the delayed payments. Now, what are the benefits under this particular scheme? So, it will improve capacity building, hand-holding, skill development, quality enrichment, technology upgradation, etc. It will also help in the generation of employment. It will promote a large formalization in the MSME sector. Formalization means when you start following so many of the government related regulations and you get registered under government platforms, that is called as the formalization. Next is credit guarantee scheme for subordinate debt. First, let's understand what does a subordinate debt means. If you have got any idea, please tell me. So, subordinate debt means that under this particular thing, there are two kinds of debt, right? Let me tell you over here itself. One is secured, and another one is unsecured. Why do we classify our debt on the basis of secured or unsecured? Because on the what type of collateral that we have received, right? If you have a security for the debt you have given, then in that particular scenario your debt is secured, otherwise it is unsecured. Now this is on the basis of security, but the subordinate debt is not in relation with the security. Subordinate debt means other debts and then we have subordinate debt. Now both of them are differentiated on the basis of payment. Right? On the basis of payment. Subordinate debt means that first of all, whenever in case of liquidation or whenever the enterprise will going to be shut, at that particular moment, all other debts are going to have a priority in payment. That means enterprise will make the payment for these debts first, and then if any funds will remain, that will go for the payment of the subordinated debts. So subordinated debt means the payment priority is later. That means all other debts will be paid first, and after that if you have got any funds remaining with you, you are going to make the payment of subordinated debts. So I hope that is clear to everyone. Now let's talk about what is this particular scheme. So government announced creation of distressed asset fund subordinate debt for the stressed MSMEs on 13th May 2020 under the Atmanirbhar Bharat package. So this was the time of COVID, and that particular time obviously the businesses were shut. From 24th March we were in the lockdown, and most impacted out of them was your MSMEs, because please understand that MSMEs are small enterprises. They do not have that much working capital, or let's say capital, in order to face the risk or the adverse circumstances. They are working on very thin margin. Plus they also suffer from the drawback of delayed payments. Whatever sales they receive payments but a little bit delay, right? They do not mostly they do not operate on cash basis. And if you will see, apart from some retail businesses, most of these wholesale businesses or the factories, they always operate on the credit terms. There is no cash sale concept for them. They have to provide credit. So now, because of all these problems, these MSMEs were really in distress, and at that particular time government brought in this particular scheme. So objective was what? Objective was to provide personal loan through banks to the promoters of stressed MSMEs for infusion as equity or quasi-equity in the business eligible for restructuring. That means what you are doing over here is, banks are providing loan to whom? Promoter. And this particular person, promoter, he will invest in the MSME, that means the enterprise of which he is an owner, he will invest in it in form of equity capital. So now how come this became a subordinate debt? Please understand that in case if this MSME is going for the liquidation, right? In case if this is going for a liquidation, what will be the payment scenario? First of all, your debts will be paid off, right? Any kinds of other liquidation related expenses will be paid off. Any further amount which will be left, that will go towards preference shareholders if there are any. And lastly, after making payment to everyone, payment will be made for the equity capital. So the priority for payment of this is too late. If bank would have given loan directly to MSME, in that particular scenario, bank would have been a secured creditor or a priority debtor, right? In that particular scenario, bank would have received the payment on the priority because it would have listed as a debt. But in this particular case, you are giving the funds indirectly, right? So hence they are called as the subordinated debt. Now, who are going to be eligible for this? See, so eligibility is the promoters of stressed or NPA MSME accounts as of April 30th, 2020 are eligible under the scheme to secured credit. What are stressed MSMEs? Stressed MSMEs means when you are not able to give the funds back to, suppose you have taken a bank loan, right? All kinds of business take a bank loan. Now your installment is today is 6th Feb, right? Your installment is due on 20th Feb, but you can foresee that you will not be able to pay your installments on time. So what you say to the bank is that please restructure my loan. By restructuring of loans means, suppose you have to pay an installment money of 1 lakh on 20th Feb, then bank will restructure the loan and bank will increase the number of years. If currently the number of years are 4, then bank will increase it to 6. So your installment money will come down and it will come down to, let's say, 60,000. Right? So this is called as restructuring. Now this restructuring has been done, but can you deny the fact that there is a problem with this particular MSME? Right? So these are called as stressed. They have not defaulted, but they have opted the option of restructuring. That is showing that they have certain problem in their finance. So this is it. And NPA, you guys already know that who all are NPA MSMEs. So all those promoters of stressed or NPA MSMEs as on April 30, 2020, they are eligible under this particular scheme. Now what are the key points? Government launched the 20,000 crore subordinated debt scheme for stressed MSMEs as a part of 3.7 lakh crore MSME package under the 20 lakh crore Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign. The scheme was initially announced for a period up to 31st March 2021, but it got extended up to 31st March 2023. That means therefore we are studying this particular scheme. Next is, for this scheme 90% of the guarantee coverage would come from the scheme or trust and the remaining 10% from the concerned promoters. Under this particular arrangement, promoters will be given credit equal to 15% of his or her stake or 75 lakhs, whichever is lower. Suppose in your business you are having a stake, your stake will be calculated how? Equity, what you have invested, and debt. We will be adding both of these, and whatever amount will come, we will find out 15% of that. 15% of your stake or 75 lakhs, whichever is lower, that much credit will be provided to you. The scheme offered a 7-year moratorium for eligible accounts for paying the principal amount, while the maximum period for repayment was 10 years. All scheduled commercial banks are eligible member lending institutions. I'm going to explain you this particular thing. And also a guarantee fee of 1.5% will be paid. Now, to whom it will be paid? It will be paid to the banks, because banks are going to provide the guarantee. Ministry of MSMEs will provide the required corpus of the 4,000 crore for operationalization of this particular scheme in a phased manner. Now, talking about this thing, this and this. First of all, understand, bank is going to provide a loan. So bank need a guarantee, right? Guarantee in the in sense of what? That whatever funds we have given as loan, we are going to receive back. So this is the guarantee that needs to be received by bank. In this particular thing, 90% of the guarantee means whatever amount of expenses that will be incurred because of the guarantee, 90% will be covered by the trust or the scheme. From what kind of trust? Your Ministry of MSME has made this 4,000 crore corpus. So this will be managed by a trust. This particular trust will bear guarantee expenses up to 90%. Remaining 10% of the amount, that means whatever loan has been provided to you, 10% of that guarantee expenses will be borne by your promoters. So one thing this, and next thing is this particular thing related to payment terms. So please see very clearly over here. What they are saying is that maximum period of repayment is 10 years. That means you have to repay the entire amount within 10 years. This is the maximum period. Now, out of which you have got a moratorium for the 7 years. Now, what is this? So, this is my 7-year. In these 7 years, I am only going to pay interest. I am only going to pay interest. No principal related amount will be paid by me. I am not going to pay the principal. I am only going to pay interest. And the remaining 3 years. Now this is the condition that within these 7 years, your interest must be paid in full, and for the remaining 3 years, you are going to pay principal. Is this clear to everyone? This is what they are saying over here. See, the scheme offered a 7-year moratorium for eligible accounts. You have got a 7-year moratorium for paying the principal. That means for the initial 7 years, you do not have to pay principal amount, while the maximum period for repayment is 10 years. So these are the things that you need to remember. I hope that you have understood this. Now moving on to the next scheme, that is related to skill development. This particular scheme is primarily focused on the skill development for the entrepreneurs in the MSME sector. Right, you are going to see different kinds of training programs which will be provided assistance with. Number one, C. So objective of this particular scheme, that is entrepreneurship and skill development program. Here we want to motivate young persons representing different sections of the society, that is your SC/ST women, physically handicapped, ex-servicemen and BPL persons to consider self-employment or entrepreneurship as one of the career options. The ultimate objective is to promote new enterprises, build capacity of existing MSMEs and inculcate entrepreneurial culture. Now, what kind of modules are included in this particular program? So these particular modules are, see, you also have, whenever you join a college, there are so many different subjects, right? Someone wants to take commerce, someone wants to take science. In science also we have got two different streams, and then someone wants to take art, then what kind of subject you want to take? You want to take polity, public administration, economics, or whatever, right? So there are so many different options you have when you enter a college. So this is the same particular thing over here. We are going to provide you training, but what kind of training you want to do, that is also depends on to you. So you will see some advanced level of training, some what you can say, primary level of trainings, that means preliminary level of training. So different kinds of trainings have been provided under this particular scheme. See, so the program includes the following modules: entrepreneurship awareness program, entrepreneurship cum skill development program, right? Existing entrepreneurship skill development program and advanced skill development program. So these two are the two variants of this particular scheme. Entrepreneurship cum skill development program has got two sub-variants, existing or advanced, right? Primary level and an advanced level. Then you have got management development program. Even in this you have got two levels. One you can as primary and one you can call as advanced level. So these are all the things that all the kinds of modules that have been provided under this particular scheme. Now let's talk about the eligibilities and what kinds of benefits that are being provided under this scheme. Next is about 40% of the targeted beneficiaries of the entrepreneurship cum skill development program should come from the weaker section. Who are all the weaker section of our society? SC/ST, women, physically handicapped. Next, no participation fees will be charged from SC/ST, physically handicapped and BPL participants and women. Up to 5% of the annual budget under this particular scheme will be utilized for the administrative expenses. See, why these particular limits are always imposed? You also understand, suppose this is the institution of crack grade B. You are getting education under it. But there are certain expenses also to run this particular institution. Some kind of expenses are human resource related expenses, right? Apart from that, technical expenses are also being incurred to run this particular institution. So these are all together are called as the administrative expenses. That means in order to run any particular scheme, you have to incur certain kinds of expenses. Now, sometimes what happens is we have to set up a limit for them, because we know that our society is a corruption prone society, and if we'll not set up a limit, then these expenses can go beyond. So hence it is being called that whatever scheme budget will be passed, or what, suppose if 100 crores has been passed as a scheme budget, then out of it not more than 5%, that means up to 5 crore only you have to spend on administrative expenses. Yes, you can do so, but just up to 5 crore. Now what are these administrative expenses over here? Now this is all not needed. What you have to remember is just this percentage. that whatever are your budget for the scheme, only up to 5% will be spent on the administrative expenses. Now what kind of expenses are included in it? So there are some examples which is given to you. Obviously you want to develop entrepreneurship, you want to develop management related skills among the entrepreneurs of weaker section as well as the other entrepreneurs. So you will be needing certain educators as well. So these MBA and engineering students, they can be hired and you will not be paying them more than 40,000 per month. Training aids, hiring of professionals, officers training, and these are the other miscellaneous charges which are included under your administrative expenses. I am repeating myself, these are not important. That means the examples, this is not important. What is important is the limit. Now see the procedure for selection of candidates to whom you are going to provide the training. Now this is also called as eligibility norms. Who is going to be eligible? So the minimum age should be 18 years, fine. Preference. I'm not saying that the scheme is limited only up to these individuals. No, I'm saying the preference will be given to them who are from SC/ST, women, ex-service personnel of defense forces. These are differently abled or BPL category of persons. For advanced entrepreneurship and skill development program and advanced management development programs, the selection will be by the recommendation of field officers, headquarters and the other implementing agencies. So this is for advanced level. Because you will see further, because for this advanced level of courses, the amount which needs to be spent is also higher. So when you are spending such higher amount, you should be identifying the beneficiaries through some credible institution. Hence the limit has been provided. Now next, see, one by one we are going to see that how much assistance we will be getting under this particular scheme. So number one is entrepreneurship awareness program. One day entrepreneurship awareness program is an activity to identify and motivate traditional and non-traditional entrepreneurs, those are having potential for setting up MSCs. Now in this particular scheme, what is going to happen is in this particular module, you are just raising the awareness. That means before starting to give them skill related training, what you need to give them is the education that okay, some kind of these things happen and we need to take the training for them. So if certain person, suppose there is a person and he does not know how to write, so first you have to tell him about the pencil and pen. That means you have to raise the awareness. After that you can start teaching him how to write, right? So these are awareness programs which are very important. Now what is the assistance that we'll be getting? So at least one EAP should be organized in each district. That is at least. Now the intake capacity should be 50 to 100 persons within expenditure limiting to 20,000. So for one entrepreneurship awareness program related event, government is not going to provide you more than 20,000 because obviously you are not providing any such kind of training over here. You are just conveying that okay, if you have the potential, you can start your own enterprise and government is going to support you. So just for the knowledge dissemination, the government has provided a limit of 20,000 per event. Next is entrepreneurship cum skill development program. So this is a 6-week activity which is aimed at conducting special entrepreneurship development programs for new livelihood enterprise creation. The intake capacity for this particular program is 25 to 30 participants within expenditure of 1,25,000. Now for less than 25 participants, the expenditure can be restricted on pro rata basis of 2,500 per participants. That means 2,500 multiplied by the number of participants. If you are having the participants lesser than 25. So these are the restrictions. Next is advanced level of skill development program. So here the capacity should be 20 participants. Now these particular advanced level of programs that will be conducted through IIMs, IITs, ICAR, CSIR, BARC, IISc and Niti Agricultural University of Central and State Governments, etc. I hope that you know all of these institutions, right? If you do not know, please go and search for them. So ESDP training with a financial outlay of 80% of the cost, subject to a maximum of 50,000 per candidate. That means whatever cost has been incurred, 80% will be reimbursed by the government, but with the limit of 50,000 per candidate. The program duration should not be less than a week. Should not be. The word used over here is not. That means the program has to last more than a week, because such kind of advanced level of program will not have any sense if your duration is too much less. Next is management development program. So again, this 1 week activity is aimed at capacity building of MSMEs. Inputs on a variety of topics of managerial function will be provided to the participants by experts, which aim at dissemination of knowledge of scientific management. The intake capacity for the program will be 25 to 30 participants within a expenditure limiting to 50,000. Next, we are going to talk about the advanced MDP training programs. These will be conducted through state administrative training institutes and other reputed institutions in this particular domain. The minimum 1 week advanced management development programs will have the intake capacity about 25 participants, right? In this particular case, 100% funding shall be provided with a financial outlay at the rate 4,000 per candidate per day. Rupees 20,000 for 5 nights and 6 days program for a residential program. In case of residential program, rupees 8,000 per candidate per day. For 40,000 for 5 nights and 6 days program shall be provided, right? So this is for non-residential programs and this is for residential programs. Residential program means where you have to provide the residence as well. That means you have to ask the person to stay with you, and obviously you have to arrange the houses or let's say rooms for that. So obviously your cost is going to increase. So hence there is a difference between the residential as well as the non-residential programs. Next, we are going to talk about your promotion of MSMEs in the northeastern region. So Ministry of MSME is working for development of MSMEs in the country with a focus of development in the northeastern region, and Sikkim as a special scheme for promotion was approved in 2016. The operational guidelines were revised and these were issued in the 2019. Now what you want to do over here is setting up of new mini technology centers. The scheme envisages financial assistance to whom? To state governments for setting up new and existing tool room or mini technology centers. So why these technology centers? Because they will be providing innovations and training in the natural resources like fruits, spices, agriculture, forestry, sericulture and bamboo, etc., which are available. Sericulture is for silk related. Available in the northeastern region and the Sikkim, they would be given a priority. Geotagging is mandatory. Geotagging means that whatever work you have done, that should be having an online presence, and geotagging is related to the identification of that particular thing on the GPS related technology, right? Next is setting up of new and modernization of existing mini technology centers. So the financial assistance of Government of India will be 90%. The maximum project cost for calculation will be 15 crores. And the GOI assistance towards building cost for upgradation of infrastructure will be limited to the 1 crore of the total permissible GOI assistance. Government of India would not be admissible towards the cost of land. So what they are saying over here is that maximum project cost, for that government will be providing the assistance. Your project cost could go beyond that as well, but government's assistance will be limited to the 15 crore. Now this is the project cost. Out of that, Government of India will be providing you 90%. Out of this particular thing, only up to 1 crore can be given for the upgradation of infrastructure. You cannot spend more than 1 crore for upgradation of infrastructure, and obviously whatever amount government is going to provide, you cannot purchase land out of it. So we are going to discuss the remaining scheme later on, because obviously time is not left and I have to answer a query as well. So in general, the principal plus interest are calculated and paid together to banks, but in MSME's case, how one separately pay for mentioned scheme? See, number one thing, we all know that principal and interest are being paid together. That is correct. But please remember, the scheme that we talked about is for the stressed or your NPA related MSMEs. They do not have funds to pay for it, but still government is saying, okay, fine. Whenever you see any kind of installment, you will see this is made of principal and interest. Suppose there is an installment of 5,000 rupees. There is an installment of 5,000 rupees. Now out of this particular installment, 4,000 will be on account of principal and 1,000 will be on account of interest. Right? You see which is the larger amount over here? Principal is the larger amount, but the MSMEs which we are talking about are stressed. They do not have funds for give. So what government has said, that please do not pay the principal, please pay the interest and try to pay all of the interest within a period of 7 years. After that, the repayment of principal will start. Why this particular 7 years have been provided? So that MSMEs can recover. They will be using that particular loan. They will be recovering that. They will start making the revenue, and after that they will be able to pay the principal. So hence, nothing is impossible. If government wants and bank wants, obviously certain calculations will be involved over here, that how we should be calculating interest on what type and how we should be calculating principal. So this is the headache of bank, how they are going to calculate it. But this scheme has been brought in by the Government of India for stressed MSMEs. Therefore, this is a viable logic that they will not be able to pay the principal amount for a relevant time period. So this is it for today's class. We are going to meet tomorrow with the same Ministry of MSMEs related schemes, because believe me, there are so many. So we are going to cover all of it. Please stay tuned, and if you have liked the video, please do not forget to hit the like button. Thank you.